Ball State Sports Link's Third Down Chirp is delivered by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Visit papajohns.com today for more info.
History. It's been made all season. Opponents have fallen. Records have been broken. But there's more. One more game before the journey ends. One more chance to do something. Never been done before. 89 years. And this time, this one game, everything can change.
The Ball State Cardinals are going bowling, which means our job's not done yet on Third Down Chirp. Welcome back to another great episode of Third Down Chirp delivered by Papa John's. Guys, we get to do one more show. It's the bowl special, the GoDaddy.com Bowl. And better yet, they just don't get us for 30 minutes a day. They got us for an hour. I don't know who made that decision, but hey, we're going to be here for the full hour.
Feel very fortunate. Ball State going down to Alabama to take on Arkansas State on January 5th. It's going to be a good game.
It's one more for us. It's one more for Ball State and the GoDaddy.com Bowl. Here we go.
And one more chance to make history, which we will get to that later about the GoDaddy.com Bowl matchup. But let's go through our opening drive like we always do here on Third Down Chirp for our main thing that stood out about this season, the consistencies, whatever Zach Hughes and Coach Bradfield decided throughout the year. Guys, start out with you. What's your main opening drive, Zach?
Luke, my main opening drive is just the growth of the offensive line. Going into the season, they had to replace 4 starters on that offensive line. They gave up 3 sacks in the opener against Illinois State, but then only 14 total on the season. They only rushed for 80 yards. Ball State did against Illinois State, and 115 against Army. The rest of the season, they were only below 120 one other time. So the offensive line, their growth just really impressed me. They're going to have their hands full against Arkansas State. They have a defensive tackle, number 98. He's near 100 tackles on the season, but their growth was very impressive throughout the season.
To me, the biggest thing that stood out was just the difference in forced turnovers. They put an emphasis on getting turnovers this season, Zach, and Ball State did just that. They forced 16 more turnovers this season than they did last year. And a lot of the credit goes to 2 guys, Jeffrey Garrett and Brian Jones. They were in on 47% of Ball State's takeaways. That was the biggest difference from last year to this year, the amount of turnovers they forced.
And the other thing I think that really stood out about Ball State this year was just the fact that they won the games they were supposed to and really finally dominated the team. At the very end of the year, Miami of Ohio, there were always those games such as Central Michigan where they got up big and then let the team come back in the second half. They finished the year strong, dominating Miami of Ohio, making plays everywhere. You had Scott Secor on special teams. You had Keith Wynn in the offense rolling. And, of course, Jonathan Newsom, Nate Ollie, and the whole defense coming up and making huge plays. As you see Jordan Williams on the screen, that huge touchdown heading into the locker room, which really got the momentum going for the Ball State Cardinals and why it was a very successful season for Ball State. Well, one of the other reasons why Ball State also had a very successful season was the offense. We mentioned the consistency and all the weapons offensively. And Tyler, you were able to do a story on Zane Fakes, which he is a big reason for the success for Ball State this year.
No doubt, a big reason. Ball State's #1 tight end option, Zane Fakes, an academic All-American. But what exactly is Zane Fakes like off the field? Well, we find out with this story produced by Andrew Boltemeyer and myself. 6'3", 237 pounds. a two-time all-conference first-team selection. Smart, strong, fast. Ball State tight end Zane Fakes is not someone to upset. But if you're having a bad day, he might just be the person to turn it around.
I love to have fun. This football thing, I enjoy every minute of it because I know at any second it can be taken away from me. It's some of the coaches, sometimes give me a hard time because I'm not always the most serious, but that's how I play best. If I took it way too serious, I would be way too uptight.
How does this academic All-American get around campus?
At first, I was kind of embarrassed to ride it.
A 2012 Honda Ruckus.
And then I sat back and thought about it. I get to park it by the bike rack, so I just walk right into the buildings for class. Waving at people, it's hilarious. I honk at people all the time. Everyone gets a kick out of me riding it because it's kind of small, and seeing me on it's pretty funny for everyone else. It's almost a motorcycle, just not as fast. I'd like to think myself as just a down-to-earth type of guy. Family-oriented, obviously. My family means a lot to me. My older brother played, my dad played, so it was just kind of a family tradition type of deal. I always wanted to be like my older brother, so chasing after him was kind of my goal in life, be as good as him, and that's where it took off. In my mind, I always still thought he was a better football player than me, better athlete than me, and I honestly think that's why I'm where I'm at, because he's 3 years older than me, and I've always been chasing him, trying to be as good as he was, and now that he's looking back on it, congratulating me, it's very humbling just to know that I have his recognition to say that I did something. My parents from the beginning, they always pushed me. I can remember back to elementary school, I would get all A's and 1 A-, and my parents would be like, "What's the A- for?" Because they never were satisfied with it.
With so many role models in his life, it's only natural for Zane to be one himself.
It was last year when I did Big Brothers, Big Sisters at the elementary school. When they saw us, their faces lit up. Just knowing that your life can positively affect someone else's life just by showing up and talking to them. And that's why I think it had such a huge impact on me. Just going through the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, just because seeing those kids for 30 minutes a week on Mondays, you became friends with them, and they look forward to seeing you every week. And if you weren't there, they got disappointed, and just knowing that made me want to show up.
Even with academic success, football performance, and community leadership, Zane still has his eyes on one goal.
89 years of football here at Ball State, and no one's ever won a bowl game. We have a chance to do something that nobody's done. Winning that bowl game will put us over the top. Good leaders and keep the team on the course and reiterate that this bowl game is important. We want to go out winners, and the most important thing to all the seniors is that we don't lose our last game.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Tyler Bradfield.
One thing to also remember is Zane Fakes, when he came into Ball State his freshman year, Ball State went 2-10. And now in his senior year, fifth-year senior year, they go out of the regular season 10-2 and have an opportunity to add and continue to make history for that 11th bowl game. And let's look at the season graphic this year, guys, the 2013 season. It began with a big win against Illinois State at home and ended with a big win at home against Miami of Ohio, 55-14. Just quickly, when you look at that graphic and just kind of go back through what stands out, Zach.
Well, the Kent State game really stands out to me. It's the game where they had to come from behind and get that win, 4th down, and the defense made huge stands in that game, and 4th down, finding Willie Snead over the middle for that touchdown. Just a huge game and a huge momentum swing in that season.
And Ball State, they really never hung their heads. A loss at North Texas, come back. They win their next 7 at Northern Illinois. It's a game throughout 3 quarters, hanging with top 15 teams. You know, they just really got the job done this season.
And Zach mentioned in the open, you're really 2 halves away from really being away from something really, really special, but only being the 3rd time in school history that Ball State was able to win 10 or more games. And like we've mentioned countless times, they have an opportunity to continue to make history. So let's put the season in a nutshell and outline what came to fruition for Ball State this year, Zach, in 2013. For you, what was it?
It was the offensive consistency, Luke. We knew that this offense going into this year could be good, but they only had 4 bad quarters out of 48. You talked about it. That second half against North Texas and the second half against NIU, really only the 4th quarter against NIU. Their 2 losses, those 2 losses, they still put up 27 points. They put up 50-plus points in 3 games this season and got that 10th win for only the 3rd time in school history. It really was one of the best offenses that Ball State has ever had.
Zach, you alluded to it just a few moments ago, but what goes back to me on this season, really summarizes this whole season, is that Kent State game in the goal line stand. Keith Winning throws an interception. And what does a quarterback do? Well, after they throw an interception, obviously they're frustrated. Not Keith Winning. He goes, makes a tackle at the 1-yard line to set up the defense for a goal line stand. They end up winning that game, stay atop the MAC West.
And allow Willie Snead to get that big game-winning touchdown late. For me, it's defensive improvement. What an improvement from Jay Bateman's crew this year. When they first came in 2011, they were dead last in the Mid-American Conference in total defense. This year, they were ranked as high as 6, finished 8th in the league. But it was the turnovers this year. 12 interceptions, 7 last year. You look at fumbles forced as well. Ball State was 8th in fumbles forced in 2011 in the Mid-American Conference, 10th in 2012. They were 3rd in the Mid-American Conference finishing this year. Huge because of the defensive line, the secondary. You had Jeffrey Garrett. You had all those guys making huge, big-time plays. And that's why Ball State was able to have such a very successful season. Well, once again, let's rehash all those great moments because Tyler Bradfield's had a lot of them on 91.3 WCRD Ball State Sports Link Radio. This was produced by Alex Seitz, and let's relive all those great moments by going through our sounds of the season.
And welcome to Schumann Stadium on the campus of Ball State University for the 2013 college football season opener between the Ball State Cardinals and the Illinois State Red Bulls. There are 4 down linemen for Army. Here's the snap. It's back to Keith Winning. He throws to the end zone. Jamil Smith cutting across the back of the end zone. He dives, and he brings it in for a Ball State touchdown. They take the lead 13-7. Winning takes the snap, hands off Horatio left side to the 25-30. Horatio down the far sideline to the 45-50. Look at him go to the 30 of North Texas down to the 20. No one's going to catch him, and he's into the end zone. It's a touchdown for Ball State. Horatio Banks making it 77 yards out, and he scores for the Ball State Cardinals. He sets up, he looks, he's got Willie Snead over the middle of the 5. Snead caught it, reeled it in. Touchdown Ball State. Terrence Owens standing in the shotgun, takes the low snap, drops the pass. He has time. He throws over the middle. Incomplete. He tried to find Alonzo Russell, and it's incomplete. Ball State will win. They have to get to the 5-yard line. Winning back to pass. He throws end zone. Willie Snead brings it down in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown Ball State. 4-man front for Ball State on 3rd down. Watford back to pass, and he's picked off. Jeffrey Garrett picks him off. Takes the snap, hands off to Jawan, has a hole, cuts it up to the 30, 25-20, still going to the 15, to the 10, angling to the sideline of the 5, to the goal line, touchdown! Jawan Edwards from 32 yards out with a good run, goes for a touchdown. Winning from the shotgun, takes the snap, he sets up, he looks, he's got Willie Snead over the middle of the 5, Snead caught it, reeled it in, touchdown Ball State! David Fisher, the backup quarterback, takes the shotgun snap. He's back to pass. Has time. He'll roll out to his right to the 45. Being chased down by Zach Ryan. Ryan dives. He misses. Here's Fisher still on his feet. Then he's thrown out of bounds. He's thrown out of bounds, and Ball State will win. Snap to pull. 4 receivers in the pattern. Pull will be brought down. Nick Miles came around the end and dropped Pull in the backfield for a sack. Just outstretched in front of him. Takes the snap. Drops the pass. Flags fly in. It's Snead into the end zone. A one-hand by Willie Snead. Are you kidding me? There are flags down on the play, but I think the touchdown will stand.
Forward, you Cardinals, we're going to win.
can't tell you, that gets me excited again. Just looking back at all those plays, it's hard to believe that it's at the end of the season and only a bowl game awaits for the Ball State Cardinals. But now Third Down Chirp gets to make a Ball State alum proud. We're going to make David Letterman proud because we got our own top 10 list here on Third Down Chirp. But it's the top 10 plays of the Ball State football season, and let's get it going. And it's going to start at number 10 with a guy who's made a lot of great plays this year, and that is none other than Jordan Williams against Miami of Ohio. 72 yards right before halftime puts Ball State up big. And Jordan Williams on the day, he finished with 5 receptions for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. That game put him over 1,000 yards receiving on the year, Zach.
Number 9 comes from that Northern Illinois game. Jordan Lynch fires a pass downfield, but here comes Eric Patterson to strip it, and Brian Jones recovers, keeping Ball State in that game on national TV against Northern Illinois.
Number 8, we go all the way back to week 1 against Illinois State as Jared Barnett drops back. Eric Patterson will tip it, and then it's picked off by Ben Engle, and he returns it down the near sideline. The only interception this season for Ben Engle as he takes the hit there on the sideline.
Ben Engle, huge on the Ball State defense this year. Number 7, okay, who says just Scott Secor goes out, does kicks off, and kicks field goals? Right here against Miami of Ohio, the last game of the regular season. Scott Secor with a booming hit and forces a fumble, which allows Ball State to get another touchdown before halftime. Scott Secor with the huge hit on special teams.
Number 6 comes from that rainy Central Michigan ESPN2 game. The first of many plays from Willie Snead on the countdown, basically being tackled out of bounds, still comes up with a huge catch to lead to the Ball State win over the rival Central Michigan.
Number 5, we stay with Willie Snead against Akron. Look at the grab here. Only needs one hand. Look at the focus. Look at the hands. In the corner of the end zone, Snead's in at number 5.
And if he doesn't catch that, that hits me right in the face. Number 4 on the countdown, top 10. All Ball State fans remember this. Deadlocked at 24 in the third quarter against Virginia until Jawan Edwards with a big touchdown run. The celebration would follow as Ball State upset Virginia by 21 points, Zach.
Staying in that same game, Luke, Keith Winning trying to find someone downfield. Well, just go ahead and throw it up to who? Willie Snead goes vertical over the Virginia defender and comes up with a huge grab.
Number 2, we go back to the Miami game, the season finale. It's Jamil Smith with the acrobatic catch. Check it out here. How does he do it? Only the 5'7" wide receiver goes up top and makes the grab, twisting backwards.
And number 1, arguably the biggest catch on the season for Willie Snead. Maybe the catch that saved the season as Willie Snead, the 7-yard reception, which got the huge win for Ball State over Kent State. And that ends the top 10 plays of the year. I thought that was a pretty good top 10 list, guys.
It was a good list. Nice
I had fun with it. I had fun.
I had fun with it as well. But, you know, everyone watches Third Down Chirp, and they know that I asked you guys really hard questions. But that was until we heard from the fans, and the voices of the fans were heard on this show. So let's relive some of the best moments, the best fan Q&A questions on the year.
My question is for Willie Snead, and I want to know what his favorite dance move to bust out at the nighttime is.
Dance move. I'll probably do a little jig or something. You know, I'll just probably get a little lean and stuff. You know, I'm not much of a dancer. I'm not the dancing type, but you know, I like to have fun.
This question's for Jordan Williams. Which wide receiver would go out trick-or-treating and eat all their candy that same night?
I think it would be Jamil, because Jamil he has his kid moments, and he has some at heart kid moments, like for real. And he was talking about it earlier, just about how he wants some candy and stuff. So.
Hi, my question's for Brian Jones. What is your ideal first date?
Horse carriage ride. You know, probably downtown, see the scenery, the lights and stuff like that. Nice dinner, a movie, then a nightcap, and that's about it.
My question is for Kenny Lee, and I know that you play defense, but if you ever score a touchdown, show us your touchdown dance.
Well, there's a dance called the Jiggle-Eight down where I'm from in Indianapolis, and it's my hometown dance, so I'm pretty sure I'll rep my hometown with the Jiggle-Eight.
Hi, my question's for Nate Ollie, and I was just wondering if the squad had an eating competition, who would win?
We eat some pizza, some chicken. Man, that's hard. Let me see. I'm gonna have to say me. I like to eat. I have to say I'll probably win the eating competition because I like to eat.
Football is a huge part of Division I football players' lives, even more so for Willie Snead. But we always see the player Willie Snead making those huge catches on game days for Ball State. But who is he? Chris Kaczynski, Brad Daly, and myself found out with our story on Willie Snead called Willie Snead the Fourth.
Everything slows down for just a second when I go out there and make a play. You got to keep your eyes on the ball. Everything blocks out for me. I'm so confident in my hands and what I can do out there on the field.
The name Willie Snead doesn't just represent the man donning the cardinal and white. Willie Snead represents a past, a history, a legacy. Willie Snead's football passion began way before he started making sensational plays for the Cardinals. It actually began before he even knew what a route was.
First time ever experiencing football was probably when I was 4 years old. My dad was, really heavily into the game, and he was a personal trainer at the time. I knew football was going to be, what I grew up to do and, what I, put everything into.
Willie Snead believed he knew how much football was cherished in his life. That was until his parents, Willie Snead III and Sophia Snead, would teach their son an everlasting lesson.
I got into trouble a couple times, growing up when I was in middle school and high school, and they disciplined me. They sat me out games. They took away football one time from me, and I was, that was devastating for me because, that's never happened before, and that's all I know.
Willie was born in the state of Florida, but put his name on display during his high school days in the state of Michigan. But why the move from the Sunshine State all the way to Michigan? Well, the answer's simple. It was his father.
I was in 9th grade at the time, and he said, what you think about, moving to Michigan? And I was like, why would we move there? And, he pulls out a pamphlet in the school. Holland Christian is up there, and, they're building a program. They're building a new high school and everything, and it looks good. And I was like, Dad, wherever you go, I'm going. And, I felt strongly that if I follow my dad, I will go to college, and I will, be able to get that shot that I've always wanted. With my dad being my coach, I had to mature a lot faster because, if I hold an ego, he's going to look at me differently. I'm going to start acting differently, and, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a good relationship with my dad. I wanted a good relationship with my coach. After high school, it was tough, and, I left him, and, I had to start with the new coaching staff, and, just being coached by somebody else, it was kind of different for me.
Snead was equipped to handle whoever would be his next head coach. On December 20th, 2010, an FCS head coach from Elon, named Pete Limbo, was named head coach of the Cardinals.
Willie was the first recruit that I talked to when I first got hired. We were really in scramble mode, trying to hold together some of the verbal commitments that had gone almost a month without a head coach being in place. And the thing that impressed me about Willie was that he was willing to listen. There were clearly some other guys that had been re-recruited by other schools. Willie was genuinely willing to listen to what our plan was going to be, and obviously he kept his commitment to Ball State.
Willie's commitment to Ball State led to a game-winning catch against Buffalo, and in his sophomore season against South Florida. But Limbo coached Snead on an important task.
What I learned from him was that you have to play at a level that you can play at. There should be a bar that you should go straight across, and you should be able to play like that. You don't want ups and downs in your game, and I feel like that's where I learned the most. I want to be a consistent player and play at a high level at all times. And in order to do that, you have to study your film, you have to study your opponent, you have to, put more into the game.
What Willie's like off the field is almost on the field. That's his life. he watches football. He's playing football video games. But off the field, he's just like any other college kid.
Before the fall 2013, Snead got an opportunity of a lifetime to work out with the Mannings at the Manning Passing Academy in Louisiana.
Peyton Manning talked to me after the camp was over, and, he said, you have a bright future. And, he said, you look good out there, and I'm just proud of you. And, that really touched me because that molded me into the player, I feel like I've been this year, is playing with a lot of confidence and knowing that I can go out there and compete at a high level even though I'm in the MAC. And, the MAC doesn't get as much respect as the SEC, Pac-12, as those guys do. But, just knowing that I've been out there with the big guys, I've worked out with them, and, I'm no step behind. I'm right there with those guys, and that just gave me a whole bunch of confidence.
97 receptions, 1,429 yards, 14 touchdowns. The majority of those statistics were seen through a television screen from a distance for Snead III. But that wasn't the case one Saturday afternoon in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Before we even started the season, that game was, marked down for me because, my dad, went to Virginia, his first year of college, and then he transferred to Florida. So, there was a lot of emotions going on in that game. Just be able to step on the same campus my dad was at. I just wanted to put on the show for him. I wanted everybody in the stadium to remember the name, Willie Snead, because, they heard it before, but I don't think they realized, who the person was out there. Like my dad, I'm just really quiet and shy, but, when I open up to people, I like to make sure that they know I care about people. I really do care about people, and if anybody needed anything from me, they know they could come to me.
For many, 4 is simply a number. To Willie Snead, it's who he is.
I really put the 4th on the back of my jersey because, family means a lot to me. And, there's a generation that flows down in my name. My dad, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather, just passing that name along, I feel like it's an honor.
For Snead IV, his play doesn't just mirror himself. It reflects generations.
Family is just showing love and be able to, showing love and be able to, just be able to embrace it. I'm at Ball State because, I'm trying to get education and be able to create a way for my family. And I feel like if I can do that, then everybody's gonna be happy and I can take care of my family because they're taking care of me and I want to be able to, give back to them tenfold. That's my motivation for football.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Luke Martin. As we see the stats on the screen for Willie Snead IV, the improvement he continued to make year after year, which led to those 97 receptions for 1,429 yards and 14 touchdowns. A great junior year campaign, but Willie Snead IV, he needed someone to throw to him. And Zach Hughes, you and Aaron Van Auken and Brad Daly were able to find out that Keith Winning, he's a great quarterback, but there's much more than just the quarterback, Keith Winning.
Keith Winning has really rewritten the history books for Ball State and the Mid-American Conference, but how he got to where he is today is truly amazing. Here's the shortened version of the story called More to Winning, produced by Brad Daly, Aaron Van Auken, and myself.
The ability to be calm under pressure. And I don't know quite how he does all that. That's a little bit of a gift. I don't know how you just learn that, but he does that somehow.
Greatness is not learned. It's not taught. It's earned through sacrifice. Greatness cannot be achieved by the ordinary. It takes someone willing to humble themselves over and over again to achieve their dreams. That's what greatness is.
Winning from the shotgun, takes the snap, he sets up, he looks, he's got Willie Snead over the middle of the ball. Snead caught it, reeled it in. Touchdown, Ball State. Winning from the shotgun, takes the low snap, fakes the handoff, drops the pass, he's under some pressure, he airs one out near side. It's Jordan Williams, bringing it over the shoulder to the 30, 25-20, and it's open grass to the 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Ball State.
Winning steps up, throws the deep ball for Snead. Did he get it? Oh my, what a catch by Willie Snead in the corner.
His football knowledge is second to none. The way he prepares and his knowledge are the two most important things of his game.
You know, the rest of the guys on offense will take after you, whether that's if you're mad, if you're stressing out or freaking out, they're going to freak out.
Keith Winning is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at Ball State. The 4-year starter has authored a new history book and shattered records. But who really is Keith Winning? Just another kid from small town Coldwater, Ohio.
Well, Keith is the youngest of our 5 children, not to mention that his father's from a family of 16 brothers and sisters, so that tells you there's a lot of cousins, over 100 cousins.
As a little kid, always active. I mean, I can still remember when he was like a 2-year-old. We were to Myrtle Beach one time, and we had bunk beds in our room, and he was jumping off the top bunk bed down onto the bed. You know, it's like just, you can never turn the motor off.
Although no one ever taught him to throw the football, it was evident at a young age that Winning would be a quarterback.
You know, growing up, playing at recess and that kind of stuff is really where, you know, everybody got their image of me being a quarterback was, you know, we'd have 2 sides, you know, at recess playing football, and I'd be quarterback for one, and the other team would make me be all-time quarterback for both sides because it wasn't fair.
Recess bell rang. Keith was the first one out the door. He had the football in his hand and yelling, all-time quarterback, all-time quarterback.
As nearly every little kid does, Winning had a dream. He just wanted to play the game he loved.
I think every little kid's got that, you know, got that dream. Hey, I want to go to the NFL, or I want to play in the NBA or something. And I think that was always in the back of his mind. And you know, and any time he did anything, he always wanted to do it 100%.
Going through junior high and going through high school, you always dream of being, you know, great. You dream of being a star, that kind of stuff, and you dream of getting to the NFL. That's, you know, ultimate goal.
I tell you, as he was growing up, I think I'm going to start crying, but he knew he wanted to play football. And he said, I'm going to get a scholarship. And, excuse me. And we believed in him, and I think he believed in himself, and I'm sure glad Ball State believed in him.
So what, the kid only started 1 year in high school? And so what, Ball State was his only Division I offer to play quarterback. Winning headed to Muncie to prove he was worthy of a scholarship.
Some people say you can't get those big offers or get many offers if you don't play multiple years out of position, that kind of stuff. I'm just thankful that, you know, Ball State, the coaches at the time, you know, saw something in me, gave me the opportunity to come here and play football.
I first met him on his official visit. I did not know him beforehand. My first impressions are he's pretty goofy, you know, but he's really serious. You know, he can be somewhat quiet at sometimes, but he's very serious, and he takes his craft very seriously.
And so began the storied career of Keith Winning, the kid who once dreamed of playing Division I quarterback. Now, a true freshman, making his first career start.
I don't think I knew as a freshman, you know, what it took to be, you know, a good quarterback, a good player, a good football player. I don't think I knew at the college level what it took.
He found out real quick. Yeah, I think the very first person he got to meet was their defensive lineman, Ryan Kerrigan, that now plays for Washington. I think he got to meet him up close and personal right away.
We all know who Keith Winning is on the field, But what's life like for the four-year starter?
To be honest, I'm a normal person. I like to hang out with my friends. I like to hang out with my family.
You know, being his roommate for the past 2 years, he definitely loosens up at home. He likes hanging out with his roommates and his friends on the team. And I think another one is he has a great girlfriend, Katie, who he does spend a lot of time with.
So what separates winning from the rest? And what makes him so successful?
Keith practices every day like it's going to be the last game that he ever plays. He works very, very hard at practice.
He fears failure, and I think that's another one of his strong suits. And the way he prepares and the way that, you know, he goes about each and every day to get better is really something that a lot of our younger guys, I hope, really take to heart. And hopefully they see what Keith Wenning was like as a leader, a football player, and a student.
My biggest fear is not being great. You know, I try every day. On the field, off the field, I try to be the best person I can be. And if I'm not doing that, then I feel like I'm letting people down. I feel like I'm letting my family down, letting my high school coach down.
You know, and you ask him about a performance after a game, you know, I don't think he's ever really satisfied with it.
People ask me, why do I go throw extra on a day off? It's because I'm not satisfied. I missed a throw last game. I want to get better.
Most career passing yards. Most career touchdown passes. Most passes completed. First in 300-yard passing games. Fourth in MAC history in touchdowns thrown. The kid, from a town of nearly 4,500, got his chance and shattered nearly every record in his path.
Coming back and seeing that, I'll be proud of what I did here. But again, you know, I'm gonna know that that's not all me. It's, you know, it's a lot of receivers catching balls. It's a lot of linemen, you know, protecting and putting their body out there. I know that I couldn't have done all that by myself and stuff, and I'm proud of all my teammates over the 4 years that have helped me, and know that that record's not an individual record, but a team record.
Winning has one more game in a Cardinal uniform, and then hopefully playing on Sundays.
I think that he can be at the next level without a doubt. That's one thing that you cannot talk to him about. He won't talk to you about it. He is so focused on this team and being a leader of this team, you know, and I think that's what he owes to this team.
I think he knows the order of stuff. You have to finish what you start first. And I believe that's really the most important thing to him right now.
Can you picture your emotions on what it would mean to you if he got his name called in the NFL draft?
It'd be a pretty proud moment. It sure would.
If an opportunity comes down the road, you know, I'd be so grateful and thankful, and, you know, I'd be hungry and work my butt off to be the best I can and get better each day. But right now, I'm just worried about Ball State football and trying to be the best I can be.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Zach Hughes.
As we see here, his career stats progressively as Willie Snead getting better each and every year leading up to his senior season. 3,900 yards, 34 touchdown passes, both good enough for 5th in the country, and a big reason why, Luke, Ball State was able to get 10 wins on this season.
34 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. That's an unbelievable ratio. That's a pretty good ratio. That's almost as good as your high school numbers, right, Zach? That was almost as good as Zach Hughes' high school numbers back in the good old days. Well, now it is time to transition to the GoDaddy Bowl. All right, we're enough talking about previous stuff going on throughout the season. Let's transition and meet the Arkansas State Red Wolves, who is the opponent for Ball State. These Red Wolves are from Arkansas State. They are without their head coach in this game. He is now at Boise State. Coach Harsin, he left to go back to his alma mater where he was there for multiple years as a coach and player. And in the previous year, though, this is something that Arkansas State is used to. Gus Malzahn left for Auburn a year ago when they were also going to the GoDaddy Bowl. The Red Wolves have won the Sun Belt Conference for the 3rd consecutive season, and the Wolves are led by a great rushing attack, which ranks in the top 30 in the country, averaging just over 200 yards a game on the ground, which is why the voice of the Red Wolves, Matt Stoles, has had a lot of great plays to call in the Arkansas State country, which is why we reached out to Matt to give us our 3rd Down Chirp scatter report on Arkansas State.
It's definitely a run-first offense. However, we do have a quarterback in Adam Kennedy who is expected to be back for the bowl game. He was hurt in the first half of the regular season finale at Western Kentucky, but we're certainly looking forward to him being back by the time the bowl game comes around on January 5th. He's a guy that does have a very strong arm, is in the top 10 nationally as far as completion percentage, so he can throw the football. He can throw it downfield and throw it at a very high rate. It's a sophomore running back by the name of Michael Gordon that has really just been thrust into the starting lineup over the last 4 or 5 games, and he's really come to the forefront as a very, very good-looking running back. He's a guy that had some big games down the stretch. A-State was able to win 4 of their last 5 games, and a big reason was because of the running of Michael Gordon back there in that A-State backfield. The offensive line is solid. There's a lot of experience up front. I think this A-State defense is much improved from the beginning of the year. You start up front. We have a guy at defensive tackle by the name of Ryan Carruthers. He's just under 100 tackles. He's a guy that's expected to be drafted in the first 2 or 3 rounds of the NFL draft. At middle linebacker, Keyshawn Lee is one of the best in the Sun Belt Conference. He's a guy that's the first A-State player in 10 years to have back-to-back 100-tackle seasons, so he's very good in that linebacking core. There are some guys with some experience on the defensive side of the football, and we feel they can, if they play well, compete with Ball State come January 5th.
We will find out if Arkansas State can compete with Ball State. That's going to be an interesting matchup to see the Red Wolves defense go up against the potent Ball State offense. So let's dive in and look at the numbers of the matchup here between Ball State and Arkansas State. Total offense, total defense, a draw when you look at those 2 stats, guys. But it's the sacks allowed and turnover margin when you really start to see the difference between Ball State and Arkansas State.
I think the turnover margin, I think whoever gets more turnovers in this game is going to have a better chance at winning. Obviously, always in football games, whoever wins the turnover battle has a better chance. But on a neutral site, that's a huge key to this game.
And look at the difference in offensive lines. Arkansas State, 27 allowed sacks. Ball State 14. If Ball State can get after Arkansas up front, it's going to be a tough go-around for the Red Wolves.
And Arkansas State, they got a very good defensive line. You heard just Matt Stoles talking about. They have a D tackle, almost has 100 tackles on the season. Yeah. That is extremely rare. But Zach, what's another statistic you're really looking at in this matchup?
Mine is 3rd down conversion between Ball State defense and the Arkansas State offense. In the 2 losses previously, for Ball State, Northern Illinois converted 50% of their first downs, and North Texas converted 53% against the Ball State defense. Arkansas State's offense is converting 46%, while Ball State defense on the season as a whole is holding teams to 40%. I think whoever is closer to that number, if Arkansas State's up there near 50, or if Ball State's defense can hold them near 40, I think that's going to be a telling stat for this bowl game.
I'm intrigued with this running back matchup for Arkansas State, Michael Gordon, and for Ball State, Juwan Edwards. Gordon, 10 touchdowns this year, 700-plus yards. Edwards, 13 touchdowns, 900-plus yards. But the thing that really stands out to me is Gordon averaging just under 7 yards per carry. He's a very efficient back. Juwan Edwards has been that at times, but who gets more production overall in yards per carry is going to be a big key.
Another big key. Call me a coach if you want to point out penalties, but go ahead. I'll say it anyways. Penalties is going to be big because you look at Arkansas State, they average just under 8 per game. For Ball State, they only averaged 3 penalties per game. And we saw early in that stretch against Toledo, against Virginia, those games were so lopsided in penalties and gave Ball State, especially against Virginia, there were 3 touchdowns taken away in that game due to penalties from a Virginia perspective. That's going to be huge, especially when this Red Wolves team, they are used to getting penalized. So Ball State's got to take advantage of Arkansas State for them having those 8 penalties a game, and that comes down to coaching. And why Ball State, and we'll see how Arkansas State goes as they're going through limbo, no pun intended, limbo with their coaching situation out there at Arkansas State. But for the Ball State Cardinals, we mentioned that the X factors are going to be huge. Arkansas State, they are used to going to Mobile, Alabama. This is their 3rd consecutive GoDaddy Bowl. So, Zach, what does Ball State have to do to make them go 1-2 in those bowl games because they split their 2 matchups?
The X factor for me in this game is Nathan Ollie, and I pick him for 2 reasons, you guys. He is the captain of this team on the defense. He needs to play one of the best games he has ever played in his last game as a senior captain for Ball State. And also, Arkansas State is a very run-heavy team, and all running teams, they like to control the line of scrimmage. We need Nathan Ollie to do a lot of that, a lot of TFLs if Ball State wants to stay in this game.
The X factor for me is in the backfield and Juwan Edwards. He's got to be huge for Ball State because when he has been big at Virginia, 150-plus yards, things look good for the Cardinals. Arkansas State, 6th in the Sun Belt Conference in run defense. They're towards the bottom with only 8 teams in the conference. So Juwan Edwards, if he can have a productive day on the ground, average above 5-6 yards per carry, it's going to be a tough go-around for Arkansas State.
My guy doesn't get TFLs, but I'm going with Keith Winning. He gets TDs, which is really important for the Ball State offense. Last year, you look at the bowl game for Keith Winning, 22 of 34 for only 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did throw an interception against UCF. But it was a very tough go-around for Ball State that night, mostly because receivers dropping passes. You need a lot of help. But this is the year for Keith Winning, guys. He's having a great year. We saw the story that Zach did on him just moments ago. He is the center of the Ball State success. And why, if Ball State wants to get that first bowl win, it's going to come down to the offensive line and Keith Winning being able to dish the ball out and get some great offensive production. Well, Zach Hughes, you mentioned Nathan Ollie on that defensive line. There's another guy that's a pretty big force on the D line, and that's Jonathan Newsom. You think, hey, Jonathan Newsom, he's just a football player, right? Well, a story told by our producers Drew Adamson, Alex Seitz, and SportsLink's own Tori Fox dives into Jonathan Newsom's passions outside of football.
Glenville, Ohio, a neighborhood synonymous with football, Tarblooders, and Buckeyes. For Ball State's Jonathan Newsom, the hometown memories have never faded.
When I was a little kid, man, I used to go outside. That was the main thing, just going outside, playing with my friends. So I said one day, Mom, I want to play football. And she knew somebody who was coaching in the mini league. She hooked it up, and from that day on, I was just naturally a football player. Glenville, it's a special place, man. You know, you got the whole community behind you, and we are always underdogs, but we always had the best football players too. Coach Gann is like the kind of guys that he deals with, you know, and it's usually guys that aren't as fortunate as others. You know, he's just the most unselfish person I know. Whatever Gann say is almost Bible. Like, you know, if you listen again, you're gonna be on the right path. And he definitely changed my life. I was a big fan of Ohio State, and coming from Glenville, all the best players always went to Ohio State. So I wanted to, establish myself as the best player, and the way to prove that is, hey, I got this Ohio State offer too. I can go to Ohio State if I want to. It was kind of like a big celebrity experience, like. I was 18 years old in the club next to rap stars and, football, big-time football players and stuff. And it was like, I'm 18. I really haven't done nothing. But these people treat me as if, I'm the one out there throwing 20 touchdowns a game. And it was all because, just the label. I was Ohio State Buckeye, so they just showed love. Once you start having too much fun, it's easy. You see it in your grades. Your grades start dropping. And attendance in class, and you just getting in trouble with little stuff, being late, and I was just digging myself in a hole, basically. And I had to get out, but the hole got too deep. So I made a move, I made a decision, and I lived with it. I needed Ball State. I needed to be able to get Jonathan Newsom back on track. And that's exactly what happened, man.
On the field, Jonathan has become a cornerstone of the Ball State defense. But it's off the field where Jonathan never misses a beat.
Man, I always loved music. Like, I remember when I was a little kid, don't nobody really know this, but I used to go to Cleveland School of Arts, and I used to want to act. It wasn't until I got this iPad mini and I downloaded GarageBand. I just kind of taught myself how to make beats on it. It's kind of like a getaway sometimes, like whenever football gets stressful, or whenever, like, you know, the pressure kind of builds up, you know, you feel, it's like I always put like a win or like a loss, if we doing bad, I always like feel like it's my fault. So, you know, music kind of just takes me away from that, kind of just relaxes me, kind of like, you know, just bring me back to reality. Like, you know, football is still just a game. You know what I mean? You got to understand, like, there's going to be ups and downs just like within life. And I don't know, music just do that for me. Like, I'm able to just go make a beat and then kind of forget about football for a little bit. The ultimate music goal for Jay New is for Jay-Z to just hit me up and like just hit me up and get a beat and go crazy on it, man. And it kind of be like a generation thing. It kind of be like a Jay-Z, J. Cole, J. New.
Jonathan knows his life's journey and graduation from Ball State is another production worth sharing.
Going across that stage would have mean like I really overcame a lot, of obstacles and beat a lot of odds. And just to, you know, just being young African American, you know, man, like, you know, you don't normally see that every day. You know, statistically, I'm supposed to be dead or in jail. So, you know, that's a big accomplishment, being able to get that degree and, you know, make my mama proud, man, because, you know, she did everything for us, man. Just me and my sister and my mom. So to be able to, you know, just have that accomplishment, man, that's something that, you know, a lot of people in my family haven't done, except my mom.
For Ball State SportsLink, I'm Torrey Fox.
A great story by our crew here at Third Down Chirp and Torrey Fox on Jonathan Newsom, hoping to see more great plays from Jonathan there in the bowl game in Mobile, Alabama. Well, it's that time. It's the last final drive of the year, the last time you get to see how smart we all are with our predictions on the game. Zach, let's start with you. Who do you have in the GoDaddy Bowl? Does Ball State make history and knock off the Red Wolves?
Guys, I think all season Ball State has been the only reason they've lost. I think they've only stopped themselves. And I think last year in the bowl game, they came out, they looked nervous, but I think it's going to be a great stepping stone for the bowl game this year. I have Ball State in this one. I think they're better on both sides of the ball. And I think Keith Winning and Willie Snead, they do enough to get the job done. 34-24, Ball State gets its first ever bowl game victory.
I agree with you on all the above points. I think Ball State has a little bit of an edge on the offensive end, and I do think they have a little bit of edge on the defensive end. A lot of the reasons because the guy we just heard from in Jonathan Newsom, 33-27, Ball State gets their first bowl victory.
You know, we're all just repeating the same stuff and rehashing the same thoughts, but Jay Bateman and the crew on defense have done a great job this year improving. I totally agree with Tyler. I think that is a big reason why Ball State is going to win the bowl game and make history. Just all around, what a team, what a group effort this year for Ball State. And there would not be a better way for this senior class than to walk out with a win January 5th and finish the year 11-2. Ball State football going 11-2, that doesn't happen very often. And to do a chance, yes, you didn't win the MAC West title, you didn't win the MAC championship, but you have a great opportunity to still do something that no other Ball State team has done, and that is win the bowl game. And we will see if the Cardinals can do just that and knock off Arkansas State in January. It should be a lot of fun, and be sure to stay tuned for Ball State SportsLink, as they will be down. We will all be down in Mobile, Alabama for the big game. Well, there are some huge thank yous to dish out here from Third Down Chirp this year to the Ball State Athletic Department, Joe Hernandez, for his help all year long, giving us the interviews, giving us all of the production value that we can have on this show. It wouldn't happen without Joe and all the great people at Ball State. So, Joe, thank you so much for your whole help this whole year, as well as the whole athletic department. To our producers, Drew Adamson, Alex Seitz, those guys put in so many hours making this show look so good each and every week. Drew and Alex, thanks so much for all you do. And, of course, our faculty advisors. We couldn't do it without them, Chris Taylor and Alex Cartman. And then, hey, We couldn't do it. You guys got to sit here out with me. That's kind of hard. So I got to thank you guys as well for pulling through this year.
Well, thank you so much, Luke. We really appreciate it, and it was a good time.
You know, it's been so fun. It's been fun every week sitting here talking Ball State football. Zach with you, Luke, you as well. I've just had a blast this year.
It's been a blast, and everyone, hey, you've seen everything from Ball State highlights to Zach Hughes intramural highlights. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen when you watch Third Down Chirp? Once again, that does it for this year of Third Down Chirp. We hope you enjoyed the 1 Hour Bowl special. Be sure to watch the game January 5th as the Cardinals battle Arkansas State. For my partners in Zach Hughes, Tyler Bradfield, I'm Luke Martin saying so long, go Cardinals, and beat the Red Wolves.